Good afternoon, Colorado. Kyle Danielson here, and welcome to Do It All Danielson. In this episode, my wife and I, Jenna, where are you?
I'm here.
Oh, you're over here.
Okay.
We're riding the Georgetown Loop Railroad, and we're going to be doing the Lebanon Mine tour as well. So stick around for our adventure. You're not going to want to miss this. So this has been a train trip we've been excited about for a very long time. Never quite made it out here. I would recite a bunch of history about the line, but I don't know it all off the top of my head, so maybe every now and then you'll hear me clip in with a voiceover. The weather was pretty rough not too long ago. We came through a major, I almost said snowstorm. Came through a major rainstorm out there on the Front Range. Raining cats and yaks, more than cats and dogs. We grabbed a hold of our ticket from the ticket agent and headed outside to the welcoming sounds of Clear Creek as we waited for our train at Devil's Gate Station. The original railroad line between Georgetown and Silver Plume was laid between 1879 and 1884 by the Colorado Central Railroad. Under numerous owners, this railroad line ran for a good solid 50 years, when in 1938, the route was pulled up and sold for scrap. However, the story of this particular line was far from done, as in 1978, the Union Pacific Railroad donated ties and railroad track to a group of enthusiasts looking to restore the railroad line between Georgetown and Silver Plume. Almost a decade later, a steel version of the Devil's Gate High Bridge is put into place and tracks are extended down to Devil's Gate Station, where the line currently runs. The railroad's roster is an eclectic little collection of equipment, consisting of steam locomotives from sugar plantations, narrow and standard gauge diesel locomotives, as well as freight cars that were converted into passenger cars. So the Georgetown Loop Railroad, very much like the Durango and Silverton, is also a 3-foot narrow gauge railroad. The construction of this railroad line, at least the loop itself, was a challenging one for surveyors back in the day, because they had to get up these really steep slopes to go up to Silver Plume and the mining districts up there. Now they could have done what some of the railroads did in southwestern or even the middle parts of Colorado and gone right up a 7% grade, which is very steep for most steam locomotives, but instead the surveyor of the line thought about a loop, which is where the track climbs, goes over the tops of itself in order to gain elevation.
Old train, I can hear your whistle blow, but I won't be jumping on again. Old train, I've been everywhere you go, and I know what lies beyond each bend. Old train, each time you pass, you're older than the last, and it seems I'm too old for running. I hear your rusty wheels scrape against the rails, they cry with every mile. I think I'll stay a while. I grow weary after miles, and I miss the freedom that was mine. Old train, just to think about those times, I'll smile when you're highballing by. Old train, each time you pass, you're older than the last, and it seems I'm too old for running. I hear your rusty wheels scrape against the rails. They cry with every mile. Ooh, I think I'll stay a while.
So my wife sometimes makes a little fun of me because I can't avoid talking railroad stuff when I'm around railroads. It's just one thing that I gotta do. But it's good because I'm making connections in other parts of the state where I otherwise just really wouldn't. You get little perks knowing people sometimes. Get little insider information, which is, you know, always good. We were asking about the history of the car that we're riding in. It's an old Pullman car that was meant to be shipped overseas, but it ended up in Pearl Harbor and eventually made its way back to Colorado. So we can say that we're riding Pullman class, but not the first class Pullman in which you'd know it by. Wooden seats, or in this case it's Trex. The open air is super duper nice.
Party, 4 guys to check it. That way you can have an enjoyable mine tour today.
There goes our train.
He'll be back for us.
Yes, we'll be back. So now that our train has left, we are hiking down to the Lebanon Mine for the interior mine tour. I'm really hoping that the video is going to show up being inside of a cold, dark mine.
This is a silver mine. So people come out here and 10 years later, they're looking for something to do, and silver mining is the thing. We're going to be getting $1 per ounce, and we're going to be able to pay miners. People from 1857 were suffering in a depression. We're going to pay them a living wage where they can have a comfortable living. $3 a day.
I will give credit to our mine tour guide. He was very knowledgeable on the whole experience. He was actually pretty funny too. He gave us a lot of information, so I'm gonna try and paraphrase best we can. We started our tour off in the dry, which is where the miners changed out their clothing before going to work and coming back from work. We went into the mine boss's office, presumably. There were some cool pictures in there and some really cool mining artifacts to be shown. We all strapped on some hard hats and started our walk inside the haulage adit of the Lebanon Mine.
These lockers on the left, those are for our customers.
Unfortunately, my camera didn't pick up a lot of the footage that I shot underneath there, so I'll show you best I can of what was well lit. Down underneath that water would be a lower level of the Lebanon Mine.
The area of pumps that other mines used.
Every now and then, a little adit would punch off to the left of the right-hand side, following little stringer veins of silver ore.
Out there saying good or not so good, mine somewhere else. Please follow the test.
Occasionally our mine tour guide talked about, wish I had gotten some footage of that, but it was this black ooze that was coming out of the mountainside. The miners would not have seen that when they were mining, as it took years and years and years for that silver oxide to leach out of the mountainside. The dim lighting inside of the mine actually helped immerse you in the experience of what it was like in a mine in the early days. All in all, this was a very fun little addition to the train ride that we took. I would highly recommend it.
And right down the street from my house is Lebanon, which is a little section.
We just finished up our mine tour. That was a very, very excellent tour. A little fast-paced, but you know, it's all good. We got to see what we got to see. Getting the terminologies and that kind of stuff is a fun guessing game as always. Now we're just waiting for the train here at the Lebanon station, and then we'll go for a ride right back down to Devil's Gate Station.
And he says, what do you want to do? I said, give me 20 bucks. He's got bigger fish. Thank you so much for coming out.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Welcome back.
Thank you much.
All of which we pulled out about a 30-year period.
Hey, it's Slim.
Sound like you hit your head on a rock, chump.
Feet in elevation runs this bridge alone. If you look to the east, you have a nice view of historic Georgetown, which has one of the largest collections of Victorian homes per capita in the United States. And west, you can see the high-fill curve where we were now making
Well, that was the Georgetown Loop and the Lebanon Mine tour. The weather turned a little sour on us, but as it is in Colorado, if you don't like the weather, just wait 10 minutes and it'll change on you. Thank you all for coming along on our adventure, folks. I hope you had just as much fun as we did. Now may God bless you, and you have a good night.